The XC40 Recharge is part of Volvo's effort to transition from fossil fuels. They're so serious about this that their own website has become passive-aggressive towards internal combustion engines. Now, typically, all electric versions of gasoline-powered cars don't fare too well in the real market, but I think the XC40 Recharge should change that here, and I'll explain why. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications. That way you get more high quality content and I can make this my career. Thank you. Now back to the review. Now, I did a full review on the Volvo XC40 last year. This is going to be honed in here on the Recharge variant, what you get with that model, what you don't get, and ultimately how it drives and the different personality that this thing takes on. I'll link the review to the regular XC40 below. When it comes to the powertrain, this is a full EV. I know some of the other Recharge variants from Volvo are actually just plug-in hybrids, but this is not that. This is full electric. And if you're wondering whether or not Volvo has changed the names of trims again, yes, they have. You only have two trims here. The Plus, which is the one sitting next to me, and the Ultimate, which includes things like a high-pressure headlight washer. LED steering responsive headlights are standard across the board. Now, if you start looking around the side of the vehicle, you're gonna see 19-inch alloys as standard with available 20-inch rims, which comes standard if you step up to the Ultimate. Honestly, the Ultimate is easily the better deal for most people, and you will really understand why when we hop inside and drive it. Unlike early adopters of air fryers, the XC40 remains quiet about its identity, inside and out. It doesn't scream electric car, there's not much badging, and hold for the grill, it looks like the regular gas-powered model. It kind of reminds me of the nonchalant Audi e-tron SUV in that regard. I personally enjoy this, but let me know what you guys think. Would you like your EV to feel more like a traditional luxury car, or would you rather have a more progressive design? Tell me in the comments. Speaking of different approaches, I'd like to give a shout out to the awesome guys over at Royal South Volvo in Bloomington, Indiana for loaning me the XC40 for this review. If you're looking for a better dealership experience, check them out. Obviously there's a change up front with the grille, but since this has that R-Design look, you still have the black glossy accents throughout, like on the front splitter, the mirrors, the roof. When you walk around back, there's not really a defining characteristic that separates it from the regular XC40 outside of that Recharge twin badge. And as you would expect with this price tag, a hands-free power tailgate comes as standard, which means this comes with a proxy key as standard too. The interior of the XC40 Recharge reminds me a lot of the R-Design, which is a good thing. This has a very fresh design. I love how the door panel looks. When it comes to tech, this is definitely behind the Ford Mustang Mach E, especially with the driver display here. It looks good, but there's not really an abundance of information you can display on it or things you can do with it. When it comes to the touchscreen here, it's a 9-inch unit. It's a lot smaller than what you'll find in the Mach E or Tesla Model Y, which can be a pro or a con depending on who you are. I really like this form factor. The screen has a good resolution in deep blacks, but Volvo slightly updated the infotainment system compared to the S60 I drove not too long ago, and I find it less intuitive and a little more choppy. It's still more smartphone-like than most interfaces, but I miss the easy settings and swipe gestures on the home screen. It's just going to require some extra time to get used to. It's not as advanced as those other competitors. You have a standard 360 view camera, which is really high def. Again, after destination, this is like 57 grand. This one's 58 and some change because of that climate package, which outside of the pressure washers, it also gives you a heat pump, heated steering wheel, and heated rear seats. Heated seats are standard, however, they're not ventilated, which also we need to talk about these seats. Since these come from the R-Design, they're more firm than what you would find on the Momentum and Inscription trim XC40s. And it's a little frustrating as Volvo literally half-assed the bolstering. It's tighter on your torso, but less so on the seat bottom, so you still move around in corners. Standard Volvo seats are more plush, better shaped, and there isn't a huge performance payoff here, at least for my body type. Don't get me wrong, these aren't too firm or uncomfortable, I just thoroughly enjoy other Volvo seats. But still, this is pretty comparable to most German rivals. I really love the overall aesthetic of this interior. The fit and finish in here is pretty good, and the overall sense of quality is higher than what I felt with the Tesla Model Y. And of course, the best vents in the game. Plus, the base sound system is pretty adequate, and you can upgrade that through getting the Ultimate trim. The Ultimate trim comes with the Climate package as standard, adds a Harman Kardon sound system with a subwoofer, and adaptive cruise control. This does have some nice standard equipment though, like this wireless charger and the giant panoramic sunroof. Now, I won't go digging through the whole car like I did with my full review, but do know that there's enough passenger space in here to carry a 6'3" adult in the front and the back with just enough legroom and just enough headroom. Plus, you'll have a couple USB-C ports up front and around back. And when it comes to cargo space, this is going to fall short of the Mustang and the Tesla. However, it still provides plenty of room for most small families and has a practical shape. It also has some underfloor storage, and it wouldn't be an EV without a frunk. While aesthetics are subjective, I think this looks better than the competition on the outside and inside, but this is mostly the same from the XC40. So let's take this out on the road and see if it's worth that $60,000 price tag. The Volvo XC40 Recharge is a unique proposition right now in the somewhat affordable electric SUV segment. Calling this $58,000 vehicle affordable does seem a little wrong, but when you think about it, this is priced right where it needs to be to compete with the Mustang Mach E and the Tesla Model Y. But the Volvo has one distinct advantage, one that I've noted with the Audi e-tron as well, and that's that it feels still more like a luxury car than just an electric car. And this is going to be a polarizing trait. When you hop into a Mach E or Model Y, they have a lot more of a wow factor due to how different they are from the average car. I might be able to argue that this is nicer, but it isn't as exciting. Surprisingly, when you compare this to a similarly equipped and priced version of the Tesla or Mustang, the Volvo is actually quicker. So this is powered by two permanent magnet motors generating a total of 402 horsepower and 486 pound-feet of torque. That might begin to sound when you think about some of the other electric vehicles out there, but let's put that into perspective. This has more power, more torque, and pumps out quicker runs to 60 miles per hour than the original Dodge Viper. Speaking of such, let's test that out for ourselves. Now, apparently Draghi is getting low satellites out here, which is weird because I do all my tests here. So none of these will be valid. Man. The only thing that you really hear is just the very rapid change in wind noise. It makes for an eerie yet serene 4.4 second sprint to 60. This is downright shocking for an EV that shares a platform with an internal combustion car. Why? Well, let me, someone who is not an engineer, try to explain. Think of it like this. You could theoretically float yourself and a friend in a basket with many thousands of helium-filled balloons. It wouldn't be near as efficient, practical, or consistent as a hot air balloon, but you could do it. Or you could just get into a hot air balloon, which started from day one with that purpose in mind. Cars like the VW e-Golf or Mini Cooper Electric do exist, but they were designed as internal combustion first and made to be electric later. The chassis is not optimized in a way to fit the most battery packs. It probably isn't the best for packaging motors and stuff either. It won't perform near as well as a car like a Model 3 that was designed from the ground up to be an electric car. This is also why I'm so amazed by the XC40, which is a great gas-powered SUV and a more than decent electric car that provides a competitive range. Now, it's got a 78 kilowatt hour battery pack. It's good for 223 miles of range. Let's talk about that for a second. 223 miles, but it's more conservative. You have outlets like Edmunds reporting actually up to 240. And if you look at Teslas, which, a comparable Model Y I think has around 320 miles of range, those are typically more optimistic. You can get those ranges, but you really have to try for it from what I've heard. But I shouldn't understate the Tesla's endurance, and the long-range Mach E will also provide more range. Still, this does support pretty quick charging. 37 minutes can get you from 10 to 80%, with pilot programs allowing Netherlands electric car owners to charge their non-Teslas at Tesla superchargers. It's only a matter of time before charging on the go is less of a hassle for EV owners in the US. And 220 miles is still a healthy range. One thing I wish that Volvo kept around was a start-stop button. I like definitive starts and endings, and the XC40 doesn't give me the closure I needed. You just hop into the XC40 with the key and it's running. Put it in drive and you're good to go. Which is something that a lot of electric vehicles are doing now, like the ID.4 and Teslas. But over this quite rough road with a lot of dips, the more street performance tuned suspension does shine through. It keeps on its intended course so well, and I'm not bouncing around that. I think this is actually really comfortable. I heard some people complain, call it too stiff. I don't really think that's the case, and this is riding on 19-inch wheels. You can get it with 20s, so I'd assume it'd be a little bit stiffer there, but yeah, I mean, this is well composed, and these seats definitely hold me in a little bit better. I still think these seats are uncharacteristically firm for a Volvo, but it's something that I kind of expect when it's packing this much power. Now, on this louder road here, road noise is still not offensive. It's pretty well insulated. Through corners, it feels very buttoned down. It's not fun to drive, really. The steering is obviously quite numb. I mean, this is still a heavier vehicle, so obviously there's going to be some body roll. The steering is very tight though, it's quite direct. There is 2 drive modes technically here. You have an ability to increase the steering firmness, or you can turn on off-road mode. Now this does have right around 7 inches of ground clearance. That's not great. This does not have adaptive suspension or air ride, so it can't lift itself either. Off-road mode appears to improve low-speed inputs to allow for better traction, and it will actually engage a crawl control of sorts, as it will continue forward on any gradient when your foot is off the accelerator. There's actually one more drive mode too, which is one pedal driving, and my god, is it aggressive. Maybe more so than the Tesla. Even at lower speeds, I've seen some systems where if you're going lower speeds, the regen kind of backs off. This, no. You want one pedal driving, you're going to get one pedal driving. I'm going to let off the gas at this tree. Now, when it comes to safety features, obviously Volvo is great with passive safety systems. They have awesome crash test scores. They do have standard autonomous braking and even a lane assist. However, this just has your standard cruise control. There's no adaptive function to it, even though they leave the buttons there. So you can just play with those. Which I find especially odd since you get blind spot and rear cross traffic standard too. Adaptive cruise does come on the Ultimate trim. Now for reliability. The first year of the Recharge suffered a few issues with various reports like AC failure and infotainment system crashes. The battery has an 8-year warranty, there's a 4-year 50,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty, plus 4 years of free maintenance, which is huge. Still, enough people were reporting problems with the first-year models that I would be very cautious on owning one of these outside of a warranty. Overall, the XC40 Recharge handily proved me wrong about electric versions of gas-powered cars. This is not only good, it's competent enough to hang with the best EVs out there. But as an electric car, this is going to lose to the competition unless speed and a $60K max budget are your highest priorities, which is weird to say about a Volvo. It's not as practical, spacious, techy, and it can't go the same distance as the others when properly equipped. However, as a luxury SUV, this has a big leg up. It's familiar, it has a higher quality feel, while still providing the performance you would expect from an electric car. I think this has a large appeal. I don't think it's the mass appeal. I think more people are probably going to purchase things that have that minimalist approach. But for Volvo's current clientele, I think a vehicle like this is a great way to get them into the electric realm. This won't steal a bunch of Tesla sales, but if you like Volvos or you want a luxury car, except you're thinking about switching to electric, the XC40 is an excellent choice. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the review, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll catch you in the next one.